After 130 years of mystery and speculation, the true identity of Jack the Ripper may finally be unmasked. A breakthrough in DNA analysis has led one UK expert to believe he has solved the infamous case, and now, descendants of the victims are calling for justice. Karen Miller, the 3 times great-granddaughter of one of the Ripper's victims, has issued an emotional plea to the UK coroner, urging an official inquest to name the murderer. Having the real person legally named in a court, which can consider all the evidence, would be a form of justice for the victims, she said. Karen's ancestor, Catherine Eddowes, was brutally murdered on September 30th, 1888. We have the proof. Now we need this inquest to legally name the killer. It would mean a lot to me, my family, and many others to finally have this crime solved. The man at the center of this revelation is Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber who emigrated to East London in the early 1880s. At the time of the murders, he lived near Whitechapel, where the killings took place. Despite being a suspect, his name appearing in police records, and his known history of violence, Kosminski was never charged. In 1891, he was institutionalized after threatening his sister with a knife and was later diagnosed with schizophrenia. He spent the rest of his life in psychiatric hospitals, passing away in 1919 at the age of 53. For more than a century, theories about Jack the Ripper's identity ranged from the plausible to the bizarre. Some believed he was a doctor, a barrister, or even a member of the royal family. Others suggested a costume maker to Queen Victoria, or even Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. But the recent discovery that links Kosminski to the crimes began 17 years ago when historical crime enthusiast Russell Edwards purchased a blood-stained scarf believed to have belonged to Catherine Eddowes. Hoping to uncover new clues, he enlisted the help of genetic scientists to analyze the fabric under laboratory conditions. The results were astounding. Traces of DNA from both Catherine Eddowes and Jack the Ripper were found on the silk scarf. Working with genealogists, Edwards located a living relative of Kosminski who agreed to provide a DNA sample. The match was undeniable. "It's very difficult to put into words the elation I felt when I saw that 100% match," Russell said. "This brings closure and a form of justice for the descendants." 2 years ago, an attempt to secure an inquest into the case was rejected by the UK's then Attorney General. But now, with new legal representation and mounting public pressure, East London coroner Nadia Persad has indicated she would consider holding a formal inquest. The exact number of Jack the Ripper's victims remains uncertain, but historians generally agree that he was responsible for at least 5 brutal murders: Mary Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Kelly. All were subjected to horrific violence, and while some were labeled as sex workers by police and newspapers, only 2 were known to be. The others were homeless women, attacked while sleeping on the streets. During the Ripper's reign of terror in 1888, the police and press received hundreds of letters from someone claiming to be the killer, fueling fear and speculation. The case marked one of the earliest examples of true crime sensationalism, captivating the public and ensuring Jack the Ripper's place in history. In 2015, the Jack the Ripper Museum opened in East London, drawing visitors eager to learn about the grisly murders. However, for the families of the victims, the only justice they seek is to have the killer's name officially recorded. "He can't be prosecuted because he's dead, but this is the closest thing they can do," Edwards said. "This man committed atrocities against their ancestors, and now we know it was him. We want the courts to acknowledge that." With DNA evidence, historical records, and the relentless pursuit of truth, history may finally close the book on one of its darkest and most chilling mysteries.